I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I'd like to talk about the event where the whole soccer team, 12 boys and their coach, were saved from a cave that they were there from the time of June 23rd, and they were saved all on July 8th, all this year, 2018. Imagine how long that was, weeks in this cave. And let me give you a little bit of background of what this harrowing experience must have been like. My goodness, they were in a pitch black cave. They couldn't see anything. They're running out of oxygen, and there's nothing to drink or eat. Well, there were these raging rains that came and flooded them out, so they could not escape this cave. And the only way that they could survive and escape would be to go a route underwater that was 2 miles long. Now this seems pretty hopeless at one point. And at one point and they were saying on and off, the rains were coming, that this was, no way that these poor boys could ever escape this terrible situation. And unfortunately, one of the Navy SEALs in the first beginnings of this project did lose his life trying to get to them. But afterwards, after they made a strategic plan, the miraculous happened. And on July 8th, all 12 of the boys of the soccer team and the coach were rescued. I mean, this is an incredible story of heroes. Someone who put their life on the line for others to save them. That's what these Navy SEALs did. And this was probably, and those of you that are just the least bit scared of having claustrophobia, being closed in, this is like time to be panic stricken and panic attacks, just thinking about it, to be in that cave for that long. But get this, their coach was a monk. In Thailand, most of the men, and I believe some of the women, are trained to be monks a certain part of their life. It's an amazing thing. But the tools and techniques that were taught to him as a monk came into practice at this time. Breathing techniques. He also taught the boys to lick the walls to get the moisture in the water that their bodies needed. And at some point, they did have supplies and food that somehow went up this 2-mile stretch to give them the sustenance that they needed to live and survive. But they are in a pitch black cave. Tell me how someone didn't just freak out and panic and cause everyone to lose it. But somehow they survived. And let me tell you a little bit about the astrology in this, because you gotta wonder what was going on astrologically that caused this survival. And so let me just tell you that this was the day almost the day that Jupiter was stationing. Now Jupiter, in its process, when it goes forward but then stops to go retrograde, it stops and stands still. We call this a station. So Jupiter had been retrograde for quite some time, and now it stopped and it's going to go direct. So the time that it stopped to go direct was, I think it went direct on, yes, I know, around July 10th. So this was on July 8th. Jupiter was at its standstill. And when a planet is stationed, either when it's going retrograde or direct, that point, that degree, that it's standing still, is the most potent and the most powerful. Now let me explain that Jupiter is the great benefic. It is a planet that gives protection. And on that day it was stationing, which gives it enormous power and protection, and a good result came about. Another thing that was going on that day is there was a grand trine, which a trinal aspect means 120 degrees. So these planets were that Jupiter was trining Neptune and trining the Sun. So if you look at a circular chart and you draw a line, you will see a triangle, which represents a grand trine. So on that day, the Sun was 22 degrees. Remember, I'm talking the Vedic sidereal chart, not Western tropical astrology, but the Sun was 22 degrees of Gemini, while Jupiter was 19 degrees of Libra, and Neptune was 22 degrees of Aquarius. So you see exactly in the air signs, they are exactly in a trine. Now, if you are using Western tropical astrology, you will still have the grand trine going on. The aspects are the same. It's just in Vedic, it backs it up a sign. So apparently these signs in Western astrology are going to be in Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, which are the water signs. But for the astrology that I'm using today, it's all in air. And so once again, the Sun at 22 degrees of Gemini, the Sun at 19 degrees of Libra, and Neptune at 22 degrees of Aquarius. This was the power of the auspiciousness of this day. I always look for the trines or conjunctions or oppositions of Jupiter to the moon. So what was going on additionally with this day that makes it different from any other day that was going on around this period was that the moon on that day was, in the chart that I pulled up, was around 21 degrees of Aries, somewhere where it was exactly opposed Jupiter. So you see, Jupiter was casting its energy of protection to the moon on that day. And it was also trining the Sun. So the lights in the chart are both fully aspected by Jupiter. What a magnificent, positive, optimistic day this was, to have both the lights, the moon and the Sun, fully aspected by Jupiter, the great benefic that gives protection, opportunities, and healing and wealth. This was a joyful day. And on top of that, Neptune. Neptune is the planet that deals with spirituality and things beyond this world. This monk was able to keep these children calm. And let me say, in the escape route, the Navy SEALs would have to carry each child with an oxygen tank, because this was mostly 2 miles underwater. They had pockets where they could go up and, have a little air, but they had to use, and they had to train children that have never, ever been used to scuba diving or scuba equipment to breathe with. They had to really coach these children, because if they freaked out, any one of them at any time, they couldn't survive. And a panic attack would be they lose control and they die. So each child was coached and knew that this was possible to be saved, and went through this horrendous ordeal. All 12 boys plus the coach were saved. But the astrology represents that this was a magnificent day for healing, with Jupiter's aspect to the Sun, the Moon, and Neptune. What power in astrology that we can see the auspiciousness in a day and the release of this magnificent event. Now, one more thing I might want to add here is that Jupiter's trine to Neptune. I kept saying in all of my predictions, this is the time when major movies are going to come out that heal the soul and consciousness in the world. Watch how a movie on this event comes out and represents one of the most heroic healing events of our time. And this really exemplifies the true spirit of human nature, which is our spirituality, our truth. This is the natural part of being human, to want to help others, to survive, and to really give unconditional love, to help and heal, and to save. And this is what happened. This was the most powerful exemplification of the human spirit at its greatest, at its most powerful. And this will be more and more through the movies, through the films that are being made about this. People will get more into the spirit that humanity is truly a part of, seeing the truth within our souls, in ourself, and how we can reach out and connect to each other through the power of the true unconditional love of the human spirit. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information on me, you can always go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Or if you would like to learn Vedic astrology, go to my university website, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.